On May 25, 2020, George Floyd was murdered as a result of police brutality. This sparked a series of protests and riots across the country and begged the question, does the U.S. need to make changes to policing? A lot of local people have gotten involved with the effort to bring change to policing. One of them is Joanna Hardy, the CEO of Guns Down Friday, a community outreach organization in D.C.
I know what I saw growing up. I know that I struggled. I know what the police did to my friends. But how do I teach children? How do I let them know how to protect themselves? How to not get smart with the police officer so he won't, do any police brutality. So every Wednesday we have a class right here in this room, and we, not me personally, but there was a protest at Howard University a few months ago, and the Live movement and several other organizations led that movement. The people that led that movement, they come here and they teach the students prison to pipeline. So me, I just sit in the class and I just watch these kids engage and interact, and it's a beautiful thing. This young man, his name was Brown. He was selling waters at a gas station. And he got into an altercation with another young man. And the young man's father came and shot this little boy. Years later, the shooter goes to court and was guilty on all charges. So those are the type of things that we're fighting. One of the volunteers, he sits at every court case. We just took all of his friends, his best friends, his little brother. We just took them to Miami, on a trip to Miami. A lot of people say they didn't deserve to go, but I say the things they've been through, I don't care what they're doing now, but the way that we have to live, it just breaks my heart sometimes. I know we need the police, but I also know what the police has done to my community. So it just leaves me like feeling confused. But I keep fighting every day.
Leon Taylor, a former police officer from Baltimore, gave his perspectives and opinions on the rapidly growing topic.
I think we need better training. That's really an issue that it bothers a lot of Black officers that I speak with. And it goes to a larger problem that we have in our society. Police officers are trained primarily to use their weapons because we have a society that freely uses weapons, okay? The one thing police officers don't do is they don't practice restraint enough. They don't practice physical combat enough. So you can have an officer that's been on the job for years, and suddenly they will feel that their life is threatened and they overreact.
America expected a change with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, but it failed to pass. German news correspondent Benjamin Daniel with ZDF explains why.
It's the two things. I would say two main things of that bill would be the choking, that it forbids the choking, and obviously that it kind of limits the immunity of the police officers. And in the Republic point of view, that weakens the police too much. So I think those are the core points why it didn't make it through the Senate, because it made it through the House even twice, I think. But the problem is that a federal law on the police department can only have limited impact. It can only set like boundaries within. Then the states, the cities, the counties can pass their own laws and can really have an impact in changing it. So I think it is important that the law gets passed to limit the boundaries of what police officers can do and cannot do. But I think the differentiated laws have to be passed on a lower, so to say, level.
How can policing in the U.S. change, and where does it start?
We need reform in lots of areas of our society, not just policing. Policing is the most visible part of what we need reform for.
It takes the people for reform. It's the people that is going to change these communities. It's the moms, it's the fathers stepping up. But when it comes to police, it's a huge disconnect.
I think the best police reform can only do little if reform in American society doesn't continue to happen. And obviously this is not only a US problem, but we're talking about the US perspective now. So I think if not the reform that takes place in some parts, but if that not strongly continues, that and if for so many people still black lives are not equivalent to white lives, then the best police reforms can't help, you know.